Bryce, you played a lot of football in your college days. Where have you improved the most from your freshman year till now?
I think the place I've improved the most is just my knowledge for the actual game of football. I think the more you understand it, the more you become a student of the game, the easier football is for you. So, just learning how to watch film, learning learning all the different techniques, watching as much film as you possibly can. I just think I've just learned how to become a pro.
When you had your top 30 visit out here, what did they tell you, and did it give you an idea that the Seahawks were going to pick you?
Yeah, kind of. Whenever I went out there, it was I had an amazing time. I love Seattle, and I talked to some of the coaches. I talked to the GM, to the offensive line coach, and so I didn't really have too much of an idea of where they would pick me, or if they would pick me. But I knew I was in good graces with them, and I was just hopeful and thankful that they ended up picking me.
And they told you guard, right?
Yes, sir.
Did everybody see you as a guard, or?
Yes, yeah. Most teams, they see me as a guard. That's what I played at East-West Shrine Bowl. And so ever since then, and then my measurements as well. And so, I think where a lot of teams see me valuable is a person that could play all three interior, left guard, center, right guard, and then also kick out to one of the tackles in emergency situations.
Now, how much experience have you had previously at the center position?
Not much. Very, very seldom. I did a little bit in practice. During the East-West Shrine Bowl, I would be snapping before practice and stuff like that, and so I haven't gotten much. I've done a lot of work this past off season and learning center, and learning how to snap the ball and learning how all the different techniques with it. And so, if that's something that they want me to do, then I'm going to be ready for it.
Bryce, obviously you played a lot of tackle in college. What about your game do you think suits you well as a guard?
I think I'm really quick. I'm really quick off the ball. And that helps me put my body in a really good position, especially in pass pro. I'm able to get in front of people. In the run game, I'm quick off the ball, and so I'm really good at getting fitted into the defenders, and kind of open up holes for running backs.
Is it true Kansas was your only Power 5 offer? What other choices did you have?
It was just KU and UNM.
And why did you not stay home in New Mexico?
I really liked the offensive line coach that they had at Kansas. I believed what they were building over there was going to be special. Whenever I took my visit over there, I fell in love with Kansas and the town of Lawrence. And so as soon as I got there, I knew it was going to be home for me.
Which offensive linemen around the league have you spent time watching?
I watched a lot. Whenever I was in college and I was studying tackles, I would watch a lot of Dennis Sewell. And so I kind of modeled my game after him at tackle. And since I've been transitioning to guard, I watch a lot of Zach Martin, Quinn Miners, and Will Fries.
What did you think of playing guard, the limited chances you had to play at the Shrine Bowl and such?
Yeah, no. Whenever I was at the East-West Shrine Bowl, I had some really, really good coaches over there, and whenever I asked them to stick me at guard, and they did. From where I started from day one until the final game was a really big difference. I got better every single day. And so, I'm pretty comfortable playing guard now. That's all I've been working on this past off season. And so whenever it's time to put pads on, I think I'm going to shine.
Bryce, can you clarify the pronunciation of your last name?
Cabledue.
If I'm not mistaken, you're the first person from native of New Mexico to be drafted since 2019. Is that correct?
To be honest, I really don't know.
How much pride do you take in New Mexico? And it's not exactly a hotbed for NFL players, but like you said, leaving home to make what you did at Kansas and now getting drafted in the NFL.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love New Mexico. Born and raised there. My entire family lives here in New Mexico. I love the food. I love the people, and so I have a lot of pride being from New Mexico, being a very seldom group out of New Mexico that's ever been drafted that's from New Mexico. And so, I have so much love and so much pride from being out of New Mexico.
You're in Clovis now?
Yes, sir.
That's your family home?
Yes, sir.
What was the setting for the call? Were you on your cell phone, in your house? Some people take a walk their dog. What were you doing?
No, I had my whole family showed up, and so we were just waiting inside the living room for a couple hours waiting for the call. My dad was on the smoker today. He made he made some ribs, some pork, and a pork butt. And so, we had some food, just eating, having a good time, playing a little bit of cornhole.
Can we
until I got
swing
the
by?
call. Absolutely. I'll send you the address.
Bryce, what do you know about some of the Seahawks? They've had a couple offensive line Hall of Famers. Do you know anything about some of the players they've had in the Hall of Fame?
No, sir. I really do not. I need to start looking at that. Because since I'm going to be a Seahawk.
I didn't mean to
Did
trip
you
you
meet
up.
with Steve Hutchinson when you were here?
I do not believe so. No.
I didn't mean to trip you up. The question, let me ask another one. In terms of guard to tackle, what's do you change the mindset there? What is that switch going to be like for you?
Yeah. So it's a little bit quicker. Guys are in your face a whole lot faster. You have to use a little bit more strength. At tackle you could be a little bit prettier. You use your legs a little bit more. At guard it's very, very physical, very in your face at all times, and you have to be extremely aware. And so, like I said, I think I'm pretty quick off the ball. I've been working on my hand placement, all my striking. I've always been pretty strong, and so I think going from tackle to guard is going to suit me really well.
Do you feel like your run blocking or pass blocking is a little bit ahead of one or the other?
I think as of right now, my run blocking is a little bit ahead of my pass blocking.
And do you have a favorite run play to block for?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love wide zone, front side of wide zone, back side of wide zone.
Why do you love it?
I think you could really just you really just get to run off the ball as fast as you can and hit someone as hard as you can. And when you get those defenders running a little bit, you can get them out leveraged, and that's whenever you get guys on the ground.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce.